Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakka Jacob. It's been 72 hours since one of the most horrific rail accidents in India. More than 270 people have died and over 1,000 injured. The railway minister, who's been camped there for the last 3 days, says that they've identified the root cause as well as the people responsible for this horrific accident. The matter has now been handed over to the CBI. Top rail ministry sources say sabotage cannot be ruled out. The opposition, from Rahul Gandhi to Mita Banerjee, are all asking for Vaishnav's resignation. Their logic being there have been instances, numerous ones in the past, where railway ministers have resigned because of horrific accidents. What was the reason for this terrible tragedy? Yes, there is a CBI probe that's on. The Commissioner of Railway Safety is also probing. Was it an upfront accident, or can a sabotage angle not be ruled out? That's what we'll try and get to in just 1 second. But first, the story of one of the worst accidents that India has ever seen.
ट्रेन में जा रहे थे, अचानक से डोलने लगा। डोलते डोलते ट्रेन रेल लाइन से नीचे नम गया और पत्थर में चलने लगा।
उन लोगों के सामने तो मैं सोच रहा था सब लोग मर ही गए, मैं भी तो सोच रहा मर ही गए।
पैर नीचे कर दिया, पैर में चोट आ गया। उसके बाद ट्रेन पलटी खा गया, पटरी से उतर गया। उसके बाद मेरा पेट में खर्च हो गया।
एकदम नॉर्मलाइजेशन की तरफ ले जाना है और बहुत ही संवेदना के साथ जिन परिवारों के मेंबर्स खो गए उनको किसी न किसी जल्दी से जल्दी उनके पास उनके परिवारजन पहुंचे। ये हमारा दायित्व भी खत्म नहीं हुआ। आगे की इंक्वायरी के लिए, आगे के इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए इस केस को, इस पूरे मामले को सीबीआई के पास देने का रेलवे बोर्ड की तरफ से रिकमेंडेशन किया जा रहा है।
We are standing outside the station and this is the relay room of the station. In this room, that automated software, automatic logic system is placed, and generally there is no chance of doing something with it.
It is the fault of the British that the train has crashed. No, the Congress minister, I remember, said it is my responsibility the train has crashed, I am resigning.
अब ये कैसे एक्सीडेंट हो गया है इसको तो देखना चाहिए ना। जो बजट पेश होता था वो तो उस तरह का प्रावधान नहीं ना होता है जी, नहीं तो एक एक चीज बात तो सबको मालूम होता है।
All right, so what exactly happened on Friday evening? What is the standard operating procedure and what could have possibly gone wrong? Now, if a train must be sent from one track, in this case the up main line, to what is called the loop line, then the signal after that train for any other train to go into the loop line cannot be green. So any train that's following the first train that's gone into a loop line will have to either have a yellow or a red. And that is, if the point is set in the reverse direction, then the trains that are following it to be sent to the loop line cannot have a green signal. In this case, two trains from the same point 17A, had a green signal. The goods train, that was the first train that was moved from the main line to the loop line, the up loop line, and then it was set in the reverse for the diversion. Now, the Coromandel Express, which was coming in the same direction, which was following the goods train, was also allowed to go into the loop line. The express was to pass through the main line, but the green signal was given for it to go to the loop line. Now, as per the station display, both the distance signal as well as the home signal were green. So it was not the driver's fault because he saw the signal in front of him, which was green, and therefore he moved to the loop line from the main line. The express was diverted because the signal was green and it was traveling at speed. It was traveling at 120 kilometers an hour. It moved into the loop line from the main line. It was never meant to go into the loop line in the first place. The express, traveling at 120 kilometers an hour, then smashed head-on into the stationary goods train. And because the goods train was filled with iron ore, it was like going into a ton of metal, and that's why a bulk of the damage was taken by the Coromandel Express. Now, why is there this possible human error or sabotage angle that is being brought up. Now, the signaling system, the signal that basically told the Coromandel Express to go from the main line to the loop line, is an automated one. It's an entirely automated one. It's called the electronic interlocking system. It is operated either by a station manager or by an assistant station manager, and it is almost entirely automatic and AI driven. The station manager's function is simply limited to managing operations on the station. The automated logic system that is used for the train management is run from what is called a relay room. Now, once that system is set and it is tested, the relay room is under lock and key. Now, no ordinary person can go and just open the relay room. It cannot be opened without approval from multiple people, including the station master and the assistant station master. And there are also multiple keys that are required to open a relay room. The room can only be opened if there is a problem that is noticed with the system. Now, as of the information available as on date, there was no record, there was no logs to show that the relay room was opened on the 2nd of June, which is when the accident happened. So that leads to the question as to whether there was any kind of manual intervention to change the signal, because in this electronic interlocking system, it is now impossible that two trains were given the green signal to go from the main line to the up loop line. Let me now open this up to our panelists, because these are the technical parts. There is also the political element, which is that the opposition is asking for the railway minister's resignation. M. Shashidhar Reddy is former vice chairman, NDMA, and BJP leader. Mita Chakraborti, spokesperson of the Congress party. Shiv Khera, a very famous author, is joining us on the broadcast this evening. Prempal Sharma is former executive director with the Railway Board. And Professor Manojit Mandal, TMC sympathizer, is also joining us. Mr. Shashidhar Reddy, let me start with you first. The entire opposition, from Rahul Gandhi, Nitish Kumar, Mamata Banerjee, they're all asking for the railway minister's resignation, saying that there is precedent. There have been instances in the past when railway ministers have resigned, so should Ashwini Vaishnav. How will you respond to that?
Check.
All right, we'll get to Shashidhar Reddy in just 1 second. Let me ask Mita Chakraborti that. Would you rather that the minister resign, or he stays there, faces the music and fixes accountability for what went wrong, as he's doing there over the last 3 days now?
Okay, good evening to all your viewers. This is just not one train accident. This is probably the deadliest train accident in the past few decades, with more than 280 people dead and more than 1,000 people injured. Some of them are still critical. Now, yes, we want accountability to be fixed, and we want the railway minister to resign, but it is just not about one resignation. It is about having a relook at the entire process and finding out areas of gap which had led to such a horrific incident. I want to make a few very quick points, and please give me some uninterrupted time for that. Is it not a fact that in the recent time, we have seen about 75% of train accidents happening due to derailment? One of the major causes behind derailment is poor track maintenance. Is it not a fact that the track renewal funds have been reduced in recent years? And I'm going to quote the figures from
Friday
1780.
had nothing to do with derailment or with track renewal. Ma'am, the accident that happened on Friday has nothing to do with derailment or track renewal. It was an error in the electronic interlocking system.
This is about the overall process. The track renewal funds have been reduced. The safety alignment, there was a Rashtriya Rail Sanraksh Kosh that was given an outlay of 1 lakh crore over 5 years, with an annual outlay of 20,000 crores. That amount of allocation had been reduced. Only 75% were released by the railways.
But ma'am,
on the
none
9th
of that
of
has
February, we know
anything
that
to do with what happened on Friday. Can we talk about what happened on Friday, please?
Coming to the interlocking system, on 9th of February, the chief operating manager of Southwestern Railways wrote out a letter stating that there are gross discrepancies in the interlocking system, there are problems, and one grave incident was avoided that day. And he gave the system, he spoke about the system as how the route of a train got changed after receiving a signal, and there was no intimation sent to the station master. So my limited point is, what steps were taken after this? Is it not a fact that the Indian Railways have more than 3 lakh vacant positions and they're highly understaffed? There is no amount of effort being given to safety measures. There's a complete disregard of safety measures. So it is just not about fixing accountability or asking for one.
I want to be clear about this for our viewers because one second, ma'am. I want to be clear about this to our viewers. Fact is that the electronic interlocking system is an unmanned system, right? It can only be manned if there is a defect that is noticed with it. And like I explained a moment ago, in the relay room for it to be opened has to have multiple authorities signing off on the opening of that relay room. But anyway, having said that, I want to ask Pawan Khera. Pawan Khera, this is what the opposition has been saying from Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, and they're all asking, there have been instances when Mamata Banerjee was a railway minister, she stepped down. You had Nitish Kumar who was a railway minister, he stepped down. So if it is applicable to previous railway ministers, and of course the most cited example being that of Lal Bahadur Shastri, if it is a precedent, then why should it not apply to Ashwini Vaishnav? After all, this is one of the worst accidents in Indian rail history. Pawan Khera. Sorry, Shiv Khera. I'm sorry. Mr. Khera, if you can hear me, please, that question was for you. All right, I don't think you can hear me. Let me ask that to Manojit Mandal, please. Yeah.
Why not? I think he should have some accountability and resign on his own. I mean, this is something that cannot be questioned about. That cannot be debated. I mean, let us see that this person appears to be a very busy minister in the cabinet, holds 2 other major portfolios. And on top of that, all the good work that previous rail ministers, including Mamata Banerjee did, he was not carrying out. It was all talking about, publicity stunts, it's this famous picture, 2 rail models are, clashing with each other. What is the device, sir? That anti-collusion device, which was introduced by none other than Mamata Banerjee herself way back in 2009. You're not working on those issues. Rather than you have a very big name, Kabaj or Rexa Kabaj, whatever, those things are not working. When 2 trains are coming on the same track, that particular device should have been there and it would have worked and saved life. Let me tell you, Zakka, the same thing happened 2 days back in Howrah railway station as well. Again, the 2 trains came on the same track, and it was saved because of the station masters and because there was an anti-collision device. I'm talking about what happened day before yesterday near Howrah. Nothing is right with the Indian railway system, and on top of that, we are all introducing bullet trains, Vande Bharat, all those high-speed trains. And let me tell you, do we have the infrastructure to run all those big high-speed trains? Not possible. You are spending 1 lakh crores on one single bullet train between Ahmedabad and Mumbai. 50% of that amount is spent on the railway track. These accidents should have been avoided.
Professor Manojit Mandal, one second. You had asked a question specifically about railway safety fund. One second, sir, hear me out. Now, I've given you adequate time. The Rashtriya Rail Sanraksha Kosh, which is the RRSK, was started in 2017. It has a corpus of more than 1 lakh crores to be utilized over a period of 5 years, starting 17-18, going all the way to 22-23. So and the railway says, one second. The railway says it has spent more than this 1 lakh crore that was allocated for the railway safety fund. Now, Shiv Khera, what the opposition is saying is ultimately the buck stops with the minister and the minister should resign. Now, would you rather have a minister who resigns, unable to face the heat, or would you have a minister who is there on ground trying to fix responsibility for what happened, who is there on ground ensuring that the dead bodies are identified and the near and dear ones can reclaim those dead bodies? Would you have someone who is on ground, rolling up his sleeves and trying to fix accountability, or do you want somebody who escapes that by saying, okay, I take moral responsibility, I'm stepping down? Shiv Khera.
Well, I would recommend that a person roll up their sleeves, go down to the site, get the cause sorted out, and then take corrective actions and make sure that such things don't happen. We cannot run away from it. An accident is an accident. We need to understand, was it a mechanical failure or was it a people failure? I heard Prime Minister Modi say, if we find out anybody it was a people failure, then they will take any kind of an action deserved and in immediately basis right now, and they should be punished, no doubt about it. But the key is, if it is negligence, and obviously eventually the accountability is for the minister, because the last person, that is the last person, always a top guy has to take accountability. You can't run away from it anyway. But at the same time, one has to go get to the cause and figure out what caused it. And if we understand the purpose of post-mortem is so that future such accidents can be prevented, they don't happen again.
Okay,
now,
so let me ask Prempal Sharma then, that, you know, on the one hand, we are told that it was the electronic interlocking system where there is almost zero human intervention or human interface that was responsible for the accident. And yet at the same time, we also had the minister say that the root cause has been identified, the principal people behind it have been identified. Tell us, how could this have happened? And also questions are now being asked about why the CBI should be probing this, and that too for potential sabotage. Are we to believe that someone intervened in this electronic interlocking system and changed the code or changed the signaling in a way that two trains were given the green signal to go into the same loop line?
Sir, whenever everything is...
Mr. Prempal Sharma, please. Thank you.
Sir, don't you feel for last more than 24 hours we are debating this, the causes. This is just speculation, what might have happened. And one step after another, we are reaching to their conclusion that there may be some electronic failure or something. As you already reported, our Honorable Minister is already there for last 3 days. Railway route has been restored. And I think every step is being taken. Now the question of CBI, what you raise, that is also equally important, because everybody asks for such kind of report. So now there is no harm in having one hand, we are having Commissioner for Railway Safety, Railway team is also investigating, and CBI also. Don't you feel that all these conclusions, and I'm sure this government is very quick in taking action, as my past experiences. No,
I want you to explain, Mr. Sharma, to our viewers, how in this electronic interlocking system where there is minimal human interface and human intervention, how this could have been tampered with, either for sabotage or maybe even negligence.
Oh no, that's why what question you are raising, that we are also in doubt that how it happened. When the signal was green, then all of a sudden it changed. Where was the mistake? That the ultimate purpose of CBI and Commissioner of Safety. I think forecasting anything or guessing something and giving to some conclusion is not perfect. And now I will come to that. That in past also somebody raised the question of the 3 lakh vacancies. I think the railway is already doing that the economy is also. But now my suggestion will be, now we must have our review our priorities. Whether we need speed, the facilities of the global facility like Europe. My conclusion is that middle class of this country is compelling government for such kind of trains like Vande Bharat, and in advocacy we must hear that class also. But now there is a time that we should review that safety of the passengers. No doubt that the tragedy is one of the worst in the country. But government, I think that already indicated by
the
Honorable
number
Prime
of
Minister
train
and
accidents
that we will look
in a
into
5-year period compared to 2009 to 13 and now between 2017-18 to 22-23, the number of train accidents has come down. But I want to ask Mr. Shashidhar Reddy, who is just joining us, that the opposition is saying that safety has been compromised, that some of the safety funds have been underutilized, and ultimately the buck has to stop with the minister. They are giving the examples of Mamata Banerjee resigning, of Nitish Kumar resigning. In fact, I think Mamata Banerjee was minister in your government, the NDA government one, when she resigned after a train accident. And Nitish Kumar also resigned after a train accident. So why shouldn't the same precedent apply to the current railway minister, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw? Mr. Reddy.
No, I think right now the priority would be, the rescue relief that is going on and all the efforts to save those who have been grievously, seriously injured. While that is being so, and also the restoration of the railway line, which is extremely important because it's a very important line that on the east coast. Now, coming to the kind of the demands are always made. Opposition makes demands, but we the kind of the manner in which the ministers following up with all these with these efforts, and then the inquiry will be the railway safety inquiry that is totally under the Civil Aviation Ministry. The CBI has now been entrusted. The railway itself is conducting its own inquiry. And how could this happen? Who is responsible for it? Let things come out.
No, but Mr. Reddy, also please explain to our viewers, if you're saying that the fault seems to have been with the electronic interlocking system, where there is minimal human interface, then where is the question of sabotage, or why is the CBI looking at a criminality angle? Because as per your own, this thing that it has minimal human interface or intervention. So if the electronic interlocking system has developed a fault, then why is the CBI getting involved?
No, it is minimum. It was not totally ruled out. We have to look at all angles. This is something that has been even suggested by some opposition leaders of some kind of sabotage kind of possibility. So let us just be patient. Let these things settle down. Let the first things be done first. Resignation and other things are.
No. So I want to ask Mita Chakraborti, this is data that's been put out by the BJP about the number of accidents that have happened when the UPA was in power and when the BJP is currently in power. The number of accidents between 2004 and 2014 was 1,700 plus. In the last 9 years, it has been 600. So it has almost halved, in fact, come down to less than half of what it was when the UPA was in power. And there are details of, how many accidents happened when Nitish was the minister, when Mamata Banerjee was the minister, when Lalu Prasad Yadav was the minister. There was the maximum number of accidents of any railway minister in the last 20 years. So the Congress asking for the resignation of the current railway minister is a bit rich, because the number of accidents were manifold more when the Congress was in power.
Okay, but you have to also look at the extent of the accident. As I said, in the past couple of decades, we haven't experienced such a horrific incident where more than 280 people have lost their lives. And the count can still go higher. Now, that's my first submission. Secondly, we keep talking about coverage, right? The anti-collision system. You have to bear in mind that the final report, either by the Railway Board or now that the CBI has been involved, have not been filed. So to say that this accident has taken place for this in a conclusive manner is an error to start with. We see that in the high density network of around 35,000 kilometers, only in 4% of that network, the covered system has been installed. So my query to the BJP spokesperson will be that after such a high pitch launch of the covered system, why is the implementation of coverage not taking place? Why is it so slow? We know that there are 3 vendors who have been given the responsibility, and yet we see that only 4% coverage of the high density network of around 35,000 kilometers by coverage. When we talk about funds not getting allocated for safety, when we talk about not enough being done, we saw in Chintan Shibir by the railways minister hours before this accident took place as how presentation related to railway safety got completely ignored and sidelined. So it exposes a mindset. When we talk about 3 lakh...
No, but Mita Chakraborti, this is data that's been put out. Well, one second, ma'am. I'll get the BJP spokesperson to respond to your question. I think it's a valid question on the coverage, but the data that's been put out by the Indian Railways, the total expenditure on track renewals between 2004 and 13 was 47,039 crores. There's been a 2.3 times jump to 2014 to 2023. It's 1,09,023. Similarly, when it comes to safety-related works, you said money is not being spent on safety-related works. Expenditure on safety-related works between 2004 and 2014 was 70,000 crores. There's been a 2.5x jump to 1,78,000 crores
And
between
where, my
2014
friend,
and
are you
2022.
considering
This is the
inflation?
data that's been put out by the Indian Railways.
If you purely go by figures, there is a factor of inflation as well. Numbers will only go higher. I am saying that whatever funds you have allocated, I have given you an example as how in the year 20, there was a shortage of funding done in 2017.
There's a
and
2.5x jump in the amount of the expenditure on safety-related works. 2.5x.
Were being actually spent.
No,
Now,
there is
when we
a
talk about-
2.5x jump in the money that's been spent on safety-related work. But anyway, let the BJP spokesperson respond. Let Mr. Reddy respond to your question on the Kavach anti-collision system. Why were none of these trains involved in the accident that happened on Friday? Why did they not have the Kavach system? Mr. Reddy.
The Kavach system is a totally indigenous system evolved in the last 4 to 5 years, and for it to be perfected and put in place, it needs validation for a certain period of time, and that has been completed. And this was an initiative of the South Central Railway, which is headquartered in Hyderabad. And this has to be rolled out to different parts of the country.
Okay.
And it will take some time. The German technology, the Siemens offers this. The German technology or any other technology outside the country will cost at least 5 to 6 times the cost of what it will cost us in India. So this is something which needs to be rolled out.
Let me ask Manojit Mandal, is it right though for opposition politicians, of course you are well within your right to ask for Mr. Vaishnav's resignation, but to land up there at the scene of this accident, say that we will give more compensation than the centre, to say that the centre is just doing these cosmetic changes, Vande Bharat, so on and so forth, and no money is being spent on safety, when the data that I just cited, 70,274 crores was the money spent on safety-related expenditure between 2004 and 2014, and between 14 and 22-23, 1,78,000 crores has been spent. When the data is showing something else, for opposition politicians to land up at the scene and play politics, the BJP is accusing you of politicizing deaths.
Oh my God.
Manojit.
One bridge collapsed in 2018 in Calcutta. 1 person were killed. Just 1 person. What did you say? I mean, BJP, including the Prime Minister, just one bridge collapsed in Calcutta. The bridge was 100 years old. Right? I mean, let us not. We had the accident in Gujarat also a few months back. 142 people were killed. So these are accidents which are taking place in BJP's regime, and if we just point out the critique, we are doing politics. Then what you have been doing? And Zakka, for God's sake, you are missing a very interesting point. Technology has now gone up. The quality of technology, the advancement of technology. You have 5G technology, 4G technology. The GPRS or Google system has become so accurate that you can actually point at the destination very accurately. These things are very much there. And you are in 2020, 2009 and 2010, 2012, you do not have the 4G technology. Now you have 4G, 5G technologies.
No, so, but Mr. Mandal, 4G and 5G technology, how is that going to prevent rail accidents? In this case, the electronic interlocking system. One second. Hear me out, please. Please hear me out. The electronic interlocking system, assuming it failed, right? It should show red signal to all the trains that were following the goods train, because the goods train was already moved to the up loop line, right? If it failed in the normal course of things, and no system is 100% foolproof, there will be failure. Everybody accepts that. But in the normal course of things, if it failed, then all the trains, the entire system, the entire network there would have shown red. Instead, you have a situation where 2 trains from the same transit point, which is point 17A, have been given a green signal. That is what is leading to the question whether there was any human intervention to change the electronic interlocking system and its signaling.
For a commoner, what could have saved these 2 trains? Only the anti-collision device, which is very much there since 2009. That would have saved this train. And that the minister in charge is completely denying. He is continuously saying this because of interlocking failure, these trains have been colluded. And if there have been interlocking failure because of technology, then why are you going for CBI inquiry? Just to watch it up?
Okay.
And CBI has been inquiring into two such incidents.
Shiv Khera, please respond. Please respond. I think one thing is clear. No, one second. Shiv Khera, I think one thing is clear. The initial aftermath of any railway accident, particularly, head-on collisions and so on, is to say that, there was human error, the driver was at fault, so on and so forth. I think in this case, it's very clear that the driver of the Coromandel Express spoke. In fact, he was badly injured in the accident. He spoke from the hospital bed and he said he got the green signal and that's how he moved to the loop line. And that's, of course, been corroborated by the visual data on both the main line and the loop line. In this case, then the question arises, Mr. Shiv Khera, should the railways undertake a whole review of this electronic interlocking system? Because clearly there seems to be something that has gone wrong in that system, which is why the driver saw the green signal and went ahead into the loop line.
Sir, give me a minute to share my observation on this clearly. No matter how sophisticated the electronic interlocking system is, no matter how sophisticated it is, there are always checks and balances for glitches anywhere in the world. And technology has certainly evolved to a very high level. And today, even in automobiles, the technology is to such an extent that it has moved in that any part of the car that goes wrong, the inside of the driver immediately gets an alert. So that means if the system went wrong somewhere, obviously somewhere, whoever is monitoring it, they must have seen an alert. If they have not seen an alert, that means either they were not there, or they were not watching, or they were not observing, or they were not careful. Something is wrong somewhere. To me, it is not just only an electronic system failure. It is basically somewhere, to my knowledge, there is a person monitoring all that. Somewhere that person went wrung.
So let me ask Mr. Prempal Sharma, how do you explain this? The central control room, there the displays are showing properly. When you come down to the brass tacks at the display on the railway station, there it is showing something different. How does one explain that while on the central room the system seems to be working perfectly fine, but on the ground the signal has been altered? In a system, in an electronic interlocking system where there is next to zero human intervention or interface. Mr. Sharma.
No doubt this is a really big question, that how it all happened. But the whole conclusion from all these debates and your what I will recommend, or this is my suggestion, is that we have to review all safety measures. And somebody just now recommended that machine is not always that important. That man behind working is also equally important. And we should, whatever the safety posts are lying vacant, we must try to fill that up. Cover system, which has been already proved, that should be given priority. And our priority has to be for the passengers trains in every train. More than safety, more than facilities, which the all middle class and everybody, those who feel that all the air facilities should be available in the trains, that should be kept aside, and first we should go for the safety. That is, whether it is on the infrastructure, wagons, or the safety measures. And the government of India, or the Ministry of Railways, already doing for last almost 8-9 years, they have done wonderful job. You already mentioned all the data. Accident has been minimum. No doubt the reason has been also that during Corona days, that was the minimum operational activities of railways. But things are on the right track. And
so then, Mr. Reddy, how do you respond to the criticism? It's come from former Railway Board officials, it's come from those in the opposition as well, that you're spending money on all these cosmetic changes, adding Vande Bharat, increasing speed of trains, but on the most basic thing, which is safety, you are not giving that as much priority. Mr. Reddy.
I think just a while ago you mentioned about the kind of money that was spent on various measures to improve. Also reeled out figures on how the number of accidents have come down during the last few years of the present government. Now, without getting into more details on this, I think when I managed disasters in the country as the vice chairman of the NDMA, one thing that we always must remember that every disaster should serve as an opportunity to learn from it. There are lessons to be learned, what went wrong, and what needs to be done to ensure that such things do not recur in the future. This is something which will be a big learning experience. Not that it's a very sad accident. The whole country is shocked by the enormity of the accident, the lives lost. Every life is precious, but it should be a learning experience. Disasters teach us what needs to be done in future, and I'm absolutely sure. When the Indian Ocean tsunami occurred in 2004, 16,000 people died in the country. But, now if a tsunami occurs, not a single person is going to die because, technology has been made use of, and we have a system. I was asked at one time, why was this not done earlier?
Those are the figures. It's playing on the screen when each of these ministers was there. As railway minister, Lalu Prasad Yadav, there were 550 collisions. Nitish Kumar, there were almost 1,000 collisions. When Mamta Banerjee was railway minister, it was 800 plus collisions. These figures are far more than what it is for the current railway minister. So how then do you explain when you say that you want the minister to resign? Of course, like I said, the opposition is well within its right to ask for it. It's a political demand. But the figures of each of their tenures as rail minister paints a different picture.
Allow me to respond. It is a not like-for-like comparison at all. You have to bear in mind two things. A, the extent of this accident, and secondly, the fact that with technology being more progressive, with progression in technology, we are coming to a situation where we should be able to avoid such accidents, not have more horrific accidents. Technology has evolved. If we are talking about the cupboard system, if you're talking about an automated interlocking system with practically zero manual intervention, as you have mentioned, it is because there is more evolution in technology. So the
number of accidents therefore has come down. To say that there should be zero accidents, no system in the world has zero accidents. I mean, rail systems in the US and UK have also seen accidents.
Please allow me to respond.
No, I know. I'm saying, yes, you have a point that technology evolves. Obviously, the technology of 2023 is far more advanced than the technology of 2004. Therefore, the number of accidents have come down from 1,711 20 years ago to 600 in the last 10 years.
So you have just mentioned Mamta Banerjee. We are politically opposed to Mamta Banerjee in the state of West Bengal. But even then, Mamta Banerjee did resign. And we have seen Nitish Kumar, we have seen Lal Bahadur Shastri, we have seen Madhav Rao Sindhia, who were Congress ministers, who had resigned after train accident. So it is about taking accountability. Human lives are not cheap in India. It is about there are more than 280 human lives lost. Somebody has to take accountability and moral responsibility of that.
Okay.
And it's just one resignation. You have to put this in the whole perspective when we talk about the...
Shiv Khera to respond. I think this has become a bit of a familiar demand every time there is a rail accident or even an air accident, God forbid, that the minister should resign. Would you rather have a minister or ministers, he or she, face the heat, sit in that chair, fix accountability for what went wrong, face tough questions from the people, from parliamentarians, and try and solve the problem? Or would you have a minister who says, okay, I will take moral responsibility and I will step down? I'm okay with a minister being sacked. Yes, that is a different nature altogether. That's a different beast altogether. But just to say, okay, I'm taking moral responsibility and I'm stepping down, does not solve the problem. Shiv Khera.
May I?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Khera. That question is to you.
Okay. Now, first of all, I know of the railway minister, whatever, I don't know him personally, but whatever I know of him, I understand he's a very responsible person and of a great high character, of high moral value. I would rather have him face the heat from the country and the parliament and the people and the accountability rather than resign. Because if the person is good, no matter who the next person is, such accident can happen in future also. But the most important thing is that if this is a learning experience, if they can learn and understand, but I personally feel very strongly it is very easy to blame technology. Personally, I feel there are some people involved behind it. Otherwise, these such things cannot happen, such magnitude cannot happen. So in my opinion, I think let them face the heat, face the parliament, face the people, and be accountable and be answerable to it. That is my take on it.
All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this story plays out. Like I said, it's now been handed over to the CBI. The CBI will be looking at, among other things, if there was any criminal element involved or any criminality in the accident, including that of sabotage. We'll have to wait and see how that investigation pans out.